Hey guys, how you doing today? Christian145 here, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to both use and build fully AFK and semi-AFK fish farms on the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. So this includes both Windows 10, Android for fully AFK, and any other platform that has auto-clickers. And then if you want semi-AFK, this will include all Bedrock edition platforms, so Windows 10, Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and now PlayStation. Welcome you guys to the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. Be sure to subscribe if you want some more tutorials in the future. But anyways, let's get into the video. So now, as you guys see here, I have two different farm designs. They're both pretty similar in concept. However, this one, of course, you see is much simpler because it's the semi-AFK fish farm design, and this is the fully AFK fish farm design. A special note about this fully AFK design is that you actually do not need to build this specific design for the iOS and Android editions of the fully AFK fish farm design. This design will work just fine because I'll show you in a minute, but the UI for the Android and the iOS editions of Minecraft is a little bit questionable. Same thing with the iPad and all those other stuff. But yeah, if you want to use this design, you pretty much only need this for the Windows 10 edition of Minecraft and probably any other consoles if you're somehow managed to find a auto clicker for this. But anyways, I've been around for too long. Let's start with the semi-AFK fish farm design because this is what most of you are probably going to need. If you want to know what you actually need for this design, it's basically all the items at the bottom of my hotbar. 2 hoppers, 2 chests, 4 trapdoors, a water bucket, and of course your fishing rod to fish. Alright, so let's start off with this 1x2 area right here. And we're going to dig that too deep. Let's place our double chest at the bottom of this to collect all our storage. And break these two and these two blocks here. So you form this little L shape right here. Stick a hopper into that chest and stick a hopper into that hopper. Now, next up, what we're going to do is place a oak trap door here and here, and then break these 2 blocks, trapdoors there, break this final block and place your bucket of water there, and you are done. This is the full semi-AFK fish farm design that most of you will probably end up using. Yep, pretty simple, doesn't take too long. And now you can basically just throw your rod out there. It's going to sit there for a couple seconds. Eventually, you'll catch a fish. You do not actually have to be paying attention for this, or you could and just stay here and wait. But eventually, you'll catch a fish, and then you can probably come back, see that you caught a fish, so reel it in, and everything goes into that chest. Yep, as you see, raw cod, and that's pretty easy. Now what you can do is actually convert this into a fully automatic AFK fish farm for the Android and iOS editions. Of course, you will need an auto clicker, so if you do not have an auto clicker on the iOS version or on old Android, sorry, you will not be able to convert it to fully AFK. But if you do, because we have this little fish button in the literal middle of the screen right here, you guys can see that we can press it and it will shoot. Eventually, we can tap it back and it will retreat. So now we can actually use this to our advantage to create a mostly efficient AFK fish farm that's fully automatic. So if you're playing on the Android edition of Minecraft, I would highly recommend using this auto clicker. The auto clicker automatic tap is pretty easy. Any old auto clicker can work. However, I would highly recommend downloading this one. You can either search up auto clicker automatic tap on the Google Play Store or click the link in the description below. I will have a link to this auto clicker so you guys will have it much open. So I've already installed it, so let's open it up. And as you guys can see, we have 3 different options here. We have single target, we have multi-target. For this, we're going to use multi-targets mode. So I'm going to click settings. As you guys can see, delay and swipe duration. We're not going to use the swipe duration at the bottom at all. What we want to do is set this delay to 15 seconds. And that's pretty good. And then what we want to do is enable this, new configuration, hopping back into our Android world. As you guys can see, same place. And what you want to do is hit this little plus button. And as you guys can see, we get a little 1 right here that we can move around. I'm going to set this on the fish button. And I'm going to click on the 1. As you guys can see, delay time before due next click is set to 15 seconds. I would highly recommend keeping this first one on 15 seconds. You guys can play around with this first one as much as you like. However, I found out because of the fact that Lure 3 and luckily C3 is the best fishing rod combination to get the most amount of resources you want. Again, 15 seconds to have that if you have a Lure 3 fishing rod. But of course, not everyone has a max level fishing rod, so if you have your normal standard fishing rod that's unenchanted, I'll recommend setting this to a higher number, maybe 30 seconds, because of course it takes longer for it to fish on average. But if you have a at least Lure 3 fishing rod, then you should be fine setting it to 15 seconds. Now what we want to do is hit the plus button again. As you guys can see, we get a little number 2. What we want to do is click that number 2 and set this to 1 second. Now the reason for this is because you have to, the way that Android and iOS fishing works is that you press the fish button in order to push it, and then you have to press it again to reel it in. So what this basically does is every 15 seconds it's going to cast it out, and eventually it will catch a fish. And then after those 15 seconds, it will reel it back in because it presses number 2, and it waits 1 second before pressing the button again and casting it out again. So let's test this out by pressing the play button, and as you guys can see, the 1 triggers and ends up waiting. We catch a fish, however, of course, because we are using a manual tapper that is set by time, we will not be able to control catching a fish rod early. But as you guys can see, the 2 triggers, it pulls the rod back in, and the 1 triggers again after 1 second and cast it back out. So yeah, and that is your fully automatic fish farm for the iOS and Android editions of Minecraft. Now again, if you have an iOS device, then at the current moment of when I'm recording this video, there are no available auto-clickers. However, if in the future there is an automatic auto-clicker that you guys can use, then this tutorial will work for that moment. However, at the moment, again, you need an auto-clicker and they're only available on the Android versions. So sadly, you guys cannot have fully automatics. So please don't roast me in the comments because I'm telling you right now that at the current moment where I'm recording this video, the logic will work. However, you guys do need an auto clicker. Also, one final note for the Android and iOS automatic fish farm, please make sure that you have on split controls in order for that to actually work. You do not need to have this on, but you do need split controls on. That way you end up getting this little cursor in the middle, this little crossing in the middle, so you guys can aim your fishing rods when you're fishing. And now we can return back to the fully AFK fish farm for the Windows 10 edition. And if you want to know how to build this, here are the materials you actually need. You need 2 hoppers, 2 chests, 3 trapdoors, a water bucket, a piece of string, 2 of any solid block, an iron trapdoor, 2 tripwire hooks, 3 pieces of redstone, and of course your fishing rod in order to build this one. Now the building process is pretty similar. If I head over to here, we're going to start off by, again, punching a hole 2 deep, a 2x1 hole 2 deep, place our chest in, and break these 2, break these 2 to form the little L shape once again. We can place a hopper in there, place a hopper in there, and this time what we want to do is break these blocks and these blocks to make a second L formation. Actually, we don't need to break those blocks. However, we do need that block. What we want to do now is place an iron trap door on this block while facing this block here, and then break that block right there. Now, what we want to do now is place our block of choice there and on top of this block right here. So 1 block above the chest and pretty much adjacent to that block right there. What we want to do is place our tripwire hook right there and right there. Place a piece of string in the middle. And as you guys can see, it will trigger that little thing right there. What we want to do now is place 3 pieces of redstone dust to trigger this trapdoor whenever we hit it. There we go. And now what we want to do is place our trapdoors in place. So place 1 there, place 1 there, and place 1 there. And last but not least, but we need to waterlog this trap door. And as you guys can see, we are done. So now what we need to do is install our Autoclicker for the Windows 10 edition of Minecraft. So this one works pretty fine. However, I do recommend the OP Autoclicker. So let's go on here. And as you guys can see, you can hit download. And it'll install the Autoclicker onto your device. So let's go. We'll hit that. It's opening up. And it will open up the little Autoclicker right here, which we can use now for our little AFK fish farm. So now let's exit out of here, head back to Minecraft, and as you guys can see, it will be on top of our screen, but don't worry about that right now. We'll exit out right here. We're going to click on this, and what we want to do is set the click interval to 1 second and 500 milliseconds. Now, of course, we want the right click button because we want to fish, single, and repeat until stop. Now, what you can do is also set it to repeat a certain amount of time. So if you want to have it only click for, I don't know, about an hour, then it will be how many seconds divided by the click interval, which would be about 2,500 seconds if you want it to activate for only an hour. Now, I don't really see a point of this, but if you want, hey, go ahead. I'll personally just prefer it to keep running until it is stopped. So now let's head out of here and head back to our Minecraft game. As you guys can see, we can just aim anywhere along the side of this block, preferably the bottom, but alright, what I'm going to do is aim my mouse there, press the F6 key, or whatever hotkey you have it saved to, and as you guys can see, it will continuously keep tapping and attempting to reel the fishing rod in. Now, because it can't, because iron trap doors for some reason stop the fishing rod from reeling in the fish whenever it is trying to hit the iron trap door, it will not actually reel it in. However, as soon as the redstone is unpowered because the fishing rod is no longer triggering the string, it will actually reel up, and hopefully we can actually get an example here. And click the block again, reel it in, and throw it back out, and it will keep repeating the process until you stop it, basically. So we're going to stop this here, and as you guys can see, eventually, as soon as after we stop this, it's going to stay there. We're going to just reel it back in. And as you guys can see, all the drops end up in this chest. And you can get all your fancy loot that you can get from AFK fishing. However, that's about it for today's video. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments below. But, yep, that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys again in the next episode or tutorial. Whatever you guys want. Let me know down in the comments below.